Here we go.
They're red. But
Hi, everyone. Welcome back. I'm Michael Sandler, your host on Inspire Nation, along with the amazing Sheila Gillette and Marcus Gillette. And I'm the host of Inspire Nation. And tonight we have a very rare and truly a special event for you. Because for the first time ever, and the reason that we had a little bit of delay here, is we're doing a 3-person live conversation with the extraordinary Sheila and Marcus Gillette of Ask THEO. If you've ever felt alone, disconnected, or like you're somehow separate from others lately, you're not alone and you're not imagining it. There's a very real global wave of loneliness happening right now, an energetic, emotional, and spiritual shift that's affecting millions. So tonight, we're going to dive deep into the loneliness epidemic, why so many people are feeling more isolated than ever, what is truly happening beneath the surface, and how you can reconnect to your heart, to your soul, your people, your tribe, and your purpose, starting right here, right now. And we'll be asking THEO for guidance. This is going to be one powerful loneliness-ending event. So welcome to the show, Sheila and Marcus. Are you both ready to shine?
we sure are, Michael. It's good to be with you. And shine we will.
I'm ready, Michael. I'm ready to shine. I'm ready to shine, man. Absolutely.
I think you are both shining bright. You are both shining extraordinarily bright. So we're going to go from you're shining extraordinarily bright to, are people more lonely today than ever, or is something deeper happening beneath the surface?
I think it's a yes and.
Yes.
I think that people are feeling lonely and isolated. And, you know, that started in the pandemic when we were shut down. And, you know, we were afraid. Humans were afraid to be together, to talk to each other, to be closer than 6 to 10 feet apart. And so we got that in our psyche. And I think we became so insular and insulated that we're just learning how to get back into an integrated place where we can again have those relationships and how to work with old belief systems that are holding us back as well from engaging and believing we're enough. I think a lot of people feel that that lack of connection and lack of worthiness for connection started escalating.
Ooh. Can either of you address, maybe we go to you, Marcus, this concept of worthiness and communication? It's sort of like we feel hesitant to even pick up the phone today. If it's not a text, we're not being polite. We've lost something. What is that?
Well, I can tell you that we have this conversation with our 38-year-old daughter who's in the dating scene all the time about get on the telephone now, quit the texting, get on the phone, hear a human voice, make a connection, right? So yes, there is that. And I want to lead into that, Michael, by addressing the yes and part of what Sheila just said to your first question. And yes, there is an absolute physical evolution or devolution, if you will, de-evolution that took place starting in the beginning of 2020. We all know what that was. And I think we became very comfortable being alone or not. A lot of people were very, very uncomfortable with it. And some people just kind of, went into their hermitage and realized that they're happier somehow there than they are out amongst the masses, right? And I think that this whole topic that Sheila just brought up, and when you're talking about worthiness, we're talking about the pressure that people are feeling right now to perform, to get out, to be with people, to get out in front, get off the couch or get out from in front of the TV set and stop binging and doing all these things we hear we shouldn't be doing. We should be out connecting and being in community. And I agree with that to a degree. But I think that when you and Sheila are talking about the worthiness issue, what we're talking about is inherent to the human condition today, more so than in any other time in history. And there's two sides of this time right now, Michael, that we're living in this fifth dimension, as you know, that Sheila and THEO brought through back in 1988 in her first book, The Fifth Dimension. And that is that there is an opportunity unlike anything we've ever experienced before on this planet, an opportunity to live multidimensionally, opportunity to live magically, to condense time frames in terms of manifestation of our dreams and desires.
Yeah.
But it all starts with loving ourselves. When people ask us at Ask THEO or the THEO group, what do you guys do for a living? The first thing I say to people is we teach people how to love themselves, and everything evolves from there. Everything evolves from that deep place of self-love. And that's where I think that we have an epidemic right now of a lack of self-love. And all of us, I think we're all doing our part in trying to assist people to fall in love, back in love, remembering who we really are, who we really are.
So I guess the question is, I've heard, I teach a lot on self-love, and I want to get to THEO before the end here tonight, and I know there's a special event where we'll be talking to THEO tomorrow even more about this. Is self-love the first step that we need in order to reconnect with others, or is it the highest level step that takes a long time to get to? And that's for either of you.
First. It's first. It starts there. Our responsiveness to life, our ability to accept what is, accept rejection, accept disappointments or challenges, all starts within us. It's all about how much we love ourselves. And if we realize who we really are, we remember the vibration of unconditional love that we really, really are. Everything emanates from that, Michael. So I believe, Sheila, you may disagree, but I think it starts with the love of self. And I think we've been blessed with a system that THEO's given us over the years of being able to call soul immigration, as you're aware of, Michael, that assists us in doing just that. And all that is simply is just identifying the core circumstances in which untrue beliefs about ourselves were created or adopted. Untrue beliefs, anything other than knowing ourselves as a being of unconditional love. So we get to the core.
Big question that I have here is, how do I put this? Well, let's just state it straight out. As I'm listening to this, and you go to the topic of self-love, the people who may need to hear it the most are going to jump off of this show and go to another channel, because it is such a hard concept today that it seems the reverse to people. That's just a warm and fuzzy. I've heard that 1,000 times, sort of like we've all heard you should sit on a cushion and meditate. Change the channel. Can you dive deeper from THEO's perspective on what self-love really means, why it is the most important thing to bring to the table, and why when we hear it and poo-poo it, not to run away?
Well, it's difficult to understand. I get that. And it sounds ominous. And yes, we've heard it forever. But what does that mean? What does it mean? It's not being narcissistic. It's not being self-centered. It's soul-centeredness. And when we recognize where these beliefs of not feeling worthy or lovable or enough first began, we didn't come in with those beliefs. We didn't come in thinking we're not worthy of love. We expected it.
Yeah.
But life, situations, and circumstances gave us another opinion from outside source. And so we began believing the outside source about who we are. And that was from our experience. So the not loving the self would come from those experiences. And the biggest things that drive us are fear of abandonment and shame.
Can you tell me more? If we didn't come in with this, where is that fear of abandonment and shame coming from?
Life is our purpose. We got these bodies. We won the lottery. We got a body. There's billions of souls that would like to have a body. And so we incarnated. In the incarnation, we come in, and an infant believes whatever they're going to experience as they are born is unconditional love, because that's where they're coming from. And then things happen. Things happen, just ordinary things that you wouldn't think have influence, but maybe a child is born and put in an incubator right away and the mother doesn't hold it. And then they feel abandoned. Abandonment, if an infant is abandoned, that could mean death.
Yeah.
So the need for survival to keep in this body is so great. And our bodies are always striving for health and wellness. Our body's miraculous that way, that they want to have the homeostasis, the balance. And then through our experience, you asked about shame.
Yep.
How about just a statement, shame on you? How many times have we heard that one, shame on you for doing that as a little kid? Or, just as innocent, if you would, but taken into the psyche goes, I'm not good enough. They just start to build, and it can happen anywhere in our family of origin, in our schools, just by life itself. But then the belief starts repeating itself in a certain way of situations, circumstances, and energy that keeps getting reaffirmed. How many times have you heard people in relationship, I keep repeating the same relationship issues because we don't know how to change it.
Is this loneliness, this self-worth, is somebody just put it, fear of rejection? I would think that goes right in there as well. Is this somehow amplified during this time? Is this part of this shift in consciousness that we're feeling more, we're experiencing more, and maybe because that empathy is going up, we're actually, we've talked off air about my concussion quite a bit, and I won't belabor the point right now, but sounds can actually be piercing or hurt at this point. Is it that we're, in a sense, feeling too much that is creating this cycle? Or feeling not too much, but just the right amount of a lot?
That, and because of all the chaos in the world, of course, and what we're experiencing, it is too much. It's too much input. We bless the internet. We bless, all the good stuff that we get from it. Well, it has the other effects as well. Yeah. Isolation, people on their technology, not talking to each other. Everything has some influence on what we're talking about here. But we are changing patterns of this that have been thousands of years passed along. How to judge each other, that's what this divisiveness has been. Instead of going, gee, I'm curious about your thoughts, we judge each other's thoughts and belief systems. Instead of being curious and open, we've gotten to a place of really shutting things out.
Well, it's interesting because starting with COVID, there was, I wear a mask, you don't wear a mask. I want to vaccinate, yes. I don't want to vaccinate. I'm a red, I'm a blue. It seems like, I like to say, people, there's no sides on a round planet. You got a pulse, we're all in this together. But it seems like that fear has hit a crescendo right now of I'm afraid to speak. And therefore, I'm afraid to put myself out there. Somebody said since COVID, this is the age of the hermit.
Yeah, well, it's because they're concerned about the good opinions of other people. I think the model on this, Michael, is to look at it from from the decisions that we make. Do we make those decisions out of fear or do we make them out of love?
Yeah.
The example you just gave about getting your feelings pierced by rejection. Well, if you're living in a state of unconditional love, you couldn't care less if somebody rejects you. It just doesn't matter. You also couldn't care less if what someone else's opinion of you is, whether it's good or bad. When you're working from a vibration of love, you're making decisions out of love. You say no when you mean no instead of saying yes and regretting it later. Asking yourself, questions like, am I doing this out of love or am I doing this to be loved? To do something to be loved by another, to be accepted, is out of fear. That's the fear of rejection that you were just talking about, that your listener was just talking about. So there's a number of different models for this. And in terms of how we make decisions and how we live our lives, whether it be from fear or whether it be from love.
It's interesting because I like to say that I'm, vibrating at a high level, whatever that means, and blah, 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 meaning I'm not going to pat myself on the back here, although I'll pat myself on the back. And at the same time, I'll pat you guys on the back too. We can do a love hug.
Theo will tell you to pat yourself on the back because we don't do it enough.
Thank you. And at the same time, nobody that I'm aware of wants to see. So we have these beautiful people in the chat. We've got Heen, we've got Karen, we've got, of course, Ayabear. We've got so many beautiful souls here in the chat right now. Nobody would really like to see somebody say, I hate you, or your idea is stupid. Years ago, when I was doing my barefoot running thing, I had an accident. And there was an article in the Boulder Daily Camera, I think it was. And somebody wrote in the comments, Michael is reckless for doing this. He really should have died. I wish he was dead. Cancel, clear release. I still feel that. Maybe I'm not resonating at that high enough level, but I think we all still feel so much today that no matter where, at least the level I'm writing at, where do you go with that? Where do you go with this fear of such strong opinions or fear, or chaos, or divisiveness today?
Well, you ask yourself a question. Am I responding to it or am I reacting to it? I'll start it off by just simply stating that. Are you emotionally reacting to that? Or are you, in a more peaceful way, kind of responding and saying, one of our favorite things is, isn't that interesting?
I send love. This person must be really, really wounded. And I feel their wound is actually what I'm feeling. Of course, the little Michael's like, oh no, but I'm feeling their wound. Right. And if I watch the news, I'm feeling people's wounds. Okay, you're lashing out, you're bombing, you're fighting, you're this, they're that. Oh my God, you must be so hurt.
Well, you've hit on a really good point there, because wounded people hurt others.
Yeah.
They're acting out. And so what you're saying is this needs more love, not judgment of that person. And Theo will often say, what would love do?
Yeah.
When people ask about situations like you just said, what would love do in that situation? Exactly what you did. Instead of saying, oh my, and lashing back at them. Yeah, your feelings got hurt, but you went to a higher level response rather than a judgmental reactivity. And that's where we're going, is to be able to respond in life lovingly and realize that, that projection that somebody did to you probably really had nothing to do with you and had everything to do about them. And that's the place we need to get to realize that judgment always has an emotional component from the person, a judgment about themselves. But responsiveness is just observation. It's neutral, like Marcus was saying. Oh, isn't that interesting?
So,
and knowing, to what you said, Michael, knowing exactly what you just said, that that they need more love, and that you are speaking to that little aspect of them that feels the fear and it's expressing that fear and that judgment and whatever negative form it comes out in. This process, just briefly, I'll share with you that this process that Sheila's talking about, this integrative process, is really a combination of shamanic soul retrieval. Some people say it's shadow work, inner child work, and it's also multidimensional. So there's a past life regressive component to this as well, where we identify during this process of meditating and discovery on what's really going on inside of me, where that belief, that reaction came from.
Yeah.
And once we identify a circumstance, we can see it as being carried forward into our emotional body from even a previous incarnation to right now. And the awareness, the aha moment that goes on from the discovery of where that started can shift that immediately. And that's the process of moving into what THEO calls a soul-centered state, where you become that eye in the storm of the hurricane, if you will.
Would you say, thank you? Would you say, so I don't watch the news that much, but I watched somebody who's usually very, very emotional, strong. I'm not sure the exact word for it. Was on a news show a couple days ago and said, I've been too strong and that's hurting people. And this is a time where we need to come all together, and I apologize for doing that. But we need to see the humanness in each other.
Yeah.
I have dear friends in Australia, and they go, oh God, you in the States, oh my gosh, it's really bad right now. And what I'm saying is there's actually this undercurrent of empathy, love, and compassion that's growing stronger and stronger at this time. And I watched a little bit pop this weekend. Does that have to do with the emotional? I know these are really big questions. We're talking about the individual loneliness, but does this have to do with the zeitgeist or the collective consciousness, or this feeling of love, of loneliness is actually bringing us up to a special place right now?
I think it is, Michael. I think you're exactly right. All the people I'm talking to are doing just that. And I just saw an interview with a principal of a school that they have blocked cell phones in their school. And this was a high school.
Yeah.
And he said some parents didn't like that. How are we going to get a hold of our children? They said, you can call us and we'll get your child for you. And they said grades went up. The social interaction with the kids got better. They were more interactive as a community. They were eating lunches together again. They were talking. They were, back in the day, like when I went to school, kids were actually talking and being kids and enjoying each other's company instead of being on their technology, on their phones. And he said it's changed the whole environment of the school. And kids are now interactive in clubs and programs and giving back to the community, and their grades have gone up. And that kind of socialization is happening with that, and other schools are adopting that. And I think, to what you are saying, there's a groundswell underneath, because people are tired of being isolated. We are herd animals. We like being together. We're collaborative. We're more creative together than we are separately. And I think, to your point, yes, people have become tired of the divisiveness and the separation. And, I was reminded of somebody saying, when you're wanting to interact with somebody, don't be interesting, be interested. Be interested in the other person, so it's back to that. It's curious about each other.
Marcus is wanting to jump in.
I know.
I want to jump in on one thing, just one thing here. And going back to what you just said, Michael, about the guy on TV,
Yeah.
right? And what I heard in that was what I saw highlighted in that is the superpower known as vulnerability, right?
Yes.
And we have found in our community that the ability for vulnerability is such a massive asset. Well, first of all, it's contagious, and you start to get into real, deep, fun, spiritually connected conversations and experiences with each other simply by sharing who you really are, just sharing your truth and being vulnerable.
It's interesting that you say that, because I think you had both asked how things went with the doctor or something earlier today, and one of the words I used was vulnerable, and with Jessica and interpersonal relationships is a big part of this, and I know you're going to cover that a lot in the special event with Theo tomorrow night, and then that's the link that keeps coming up in the chat. Everybody is. So much that I learned at the doctor today, a neurochiropractor, having to do with this concussion, means there's no other way to put it. Jessica was right. I was wrong. I'm putting that in quotes. There is no wrong. But I get to express to help heal our relationship, because somebody with a brain injury or concussion, they're hard to live with. Good people, hard to live with. Is I get to be the one key word right now, beyond humility, is I get to be vulnerable. And I think if we're all... Gosh, I can't believe I'm thinking of this. I have the image of a dog throwing itself on his or her back, or a kitty too, but be careful, they've got claws. When you throw yourself on your back and belly exposed, I think if we all did that in a sense, as weird as that sounds, the whole world would change.
We'll get a lot more tummies to get rubbed too.
Oh man!
You know?
Now we're going deep.
You know what? I the thing about Theo says that vulnerability is our superpower, to Marcus's point, because haven't you had the experience, and maybe many of you listening have as well, when you got in a conversation with somebody and they shared something that they were going through, a vulnerable moment, and you took it in and were inspired. I know it's happened to me to share something personal and vulnerable about myself, to Marcus's point of it being contagious.
Yeah.
Because when somebody's vulnerable with you, trust is built, that they trusted in you enough to tell you whatever that was, that then you can go, if they trust me, I can share this too. And I think we're going to get back to that. I think, this separation that we've gone through as you started the program, the separation has made us withdraw. The divisiveness made us withdraw. And now people go, I want more. I want connections. So
I'm curious what Theo, thank you. I'm curious what Theo has to say. So forgive me, the concussion is the big thing in my life. So I talk about it maybe way too much, but forgive me, everybody. But I do talk about the gift of being bumped by that truck. What is Theo saying is the gift of this loneliness epidemic right now? And how can we embody that, so even if we're still feeling all alone, I can't imagine what a lot of people in the States are going to feel like on Thanksgiving next week, because that's supposedly the holiday we're all together. And I think that's one of the holidays where we all, at least in the States, and Canada just had theirs and other places have had theirs, we all feel the loneliness. How do we see it as, and how does Theo say we see this as a gift?
It created the necessity for us to go inside. A lot of people learned to meditate.
Yeah.
A lot of people took up yoga. A lot of people took up hiking in solitude, by themselves, solo hiking and stuff. And I think we could, philosophize about the pandemic all we want, but one of the main things that came from it is people really took this opportunity to really go inside and learn a little bit more about who they really are. Now, that is easy for us to say because that's the feedback we get from people in our community, right? I don't know, to your point earlier, Michael, about, the great paradox that you shared earlier was, and this is still a bit of a roundabout answer to your question. The great paradox you talked about earlier was the guy who said, wait a minute, or girl, or lady,
Yeah, woman,
who said,
yes.
wait a minute, I am so tired of talking about self-love and I'm gone, I'm on to another
Oh,
channel.
yes.
But the paradox is it's precisely the person that needs to hear about it the most because they're resisting uncomfortable emotions, pretty much, which of course is going to continue to, as what we resist is going to continue to persist. So it's going to
How do
continue
we
to
work
come up.
past then my briefest story on self-love? Wayne Dyer, whole enchilada, 15, 20 years ago. No, it was 2004, I think it was. Wayne Dyer is selling the whole enchilada on PBS, his PBS special. And he says, if everything comes from God, then you came from God. And if God makes no mistakes, then you're not a mistake. And it was having to do with self-love. So I went home. It's at my girlfriend's house. I drove home and I'm like, yeah, I'm proud, good guy. I went in front of my mirror in my bathroom and I said, I love myself. You know what happened next? I swung around like a Sith or a Darth Vader or whatever you want to call it, grabbed the shower curtain ring, a rod, swung it around, shattered the mirror, and had a complete and total meltdown as I completely tore the bathroom apart because I was so pissed off with myself for daring to say that I was worthy, for daring to say that I deserved love. I've come a long way since then. I know I'm not alone in that.
Yeah.
And the thing about that, it wasn't the adult you that did that.
No.
It was this little aspect, this fragmented aspect of you
Yeah.
that reacted to that because that's the one that held the belief that you weren't worthy of that. How could you possibly believe or say that? Because the belief was here holding on tight that you weren't. And they experienced it. They created or adopted that belief. And no, they're not moving off that because you didn't say, I love you. I love you, little 5-year-old Michael. I love you because that's who you start with. Those younger parts of self that have created or adopted those beliefs as truth.
So, and this is one of the practices I like to teach people, is to take, and you can do this watching the news with anybody you're upset with as well, take the little baby version and put them in your arms and say, it's okay, you're loved. And maybe we start with ourselves. But if I had taken little Michael, which I've done many times since, and I still take little Michael every once in a while, needs to know that life is okay. I love you. I love you. And that, not so much, the word wouldn't be disassociation, but that gets you from a higher level perspective looking at you. You from a higher, more loving perspective, a resonant frequency up here looking at yourself. So you're separate from the wound and you can help heal that wound.
Yes.
Yeah.
Marcus calls it the 30,000 foot view.
Yeah,
because
it's a high level observatory. Yeah, observatory. I just got an email 2 hours ago, Michael.
Yeah.
From one of our clients who is in a soul integration certification program to be a facilitator, to work with others.
Yeah.
And she is currently working with others outside of, we have an environment in which they work together with each other, and they're real live. They're not role playing. They're doing real live sessions with each other, working with their belief systems. And she sent me 2 pictures of 2 people she had worked on in the last 3 weeks. Had their adult self, and then they had cut out and imposed upon the picture their 4-year-old or their 6-year-old or their 8-year-old that they had been working with in the session. That had 2 of these, Sheila saw just these beautiful pictures of the adult and their little ones that they're working with, who are the ones that have been running the show regarding the emotional reactivity to life. And then once we make that contact, then we can just love them and love them and love them right into our current selves. And I want to just share another real quick story that happened 3 hours ago. I was on the phone with my friend Brian, is currently experiencing lung cancer, and he's at UC Davis in California, and he's just gone into a treatment program, and he's a Democrat. And he says to me today, I can't make this up, Michael. He said to me today, I cannot believe how many loving MAGA people there are out there.
Of course.
And he's been a very vocal liberal
Yeah.
on Facebook and so forth. Everybody knows where he stands on his beliefs. When he said that, I just got God bumps, and my whole heart opened up, thinking, yeah, because most of our friends, if not all of our friends that voted differently than we do, we love them. And we have never lost a friend or a family member. We've had some interesting discussions over the years, I'm sure.
Yeah.
You can find it as such. But the reality is, it's just a belief. It's just a perspective, and it doesn't define who you are. But when he told me that, it just opened up my heart so much to hear him in his very receptive state, receptive to love right now. Listening to him comment about people on the opposite side of the spectrum, of the divide right now,
So, as I have a beautiful boat almost idling behind me as it passes here in the Intracoastal Waterway in Florida, if you can hear me all right, what are some first steps that someone could do tonight to get back into that state of self-love, or to help shift out of that loneliness? Because I'm looking into the chat right here tonight, and there's so many people that are alone, so many people that are wounded, and so many people, now that you mention this, who are having challenges with their families. And if they're stateside, oh my God, are these challenges going to come up as we go into the holidays?
I'll say one thing, and I'll turn it over to you. Drop all your judgments. Let go of all your judgments, period. And move into compassion and move into love. I'll turn it over to you, Sheila. I just had to get that one out. Just dropping judgments is a great place to start.
Well, also, what would love do? What would love do? When there's divisiveness, what's needed is more love and more understanding, remaining curious when there's a discussion. Or you can even choose not to have those discussions out of love because it's too contentious. But that's what love would do in the moment.
Yeah.
So it's remembering that you love these people, and remembering that part of it. It's okay to have differences of opinion. We all have them. That opinions are like noses. We all have one. And so it's just remembering the love.
Yeah.
And it's being more curious. Judgment, like I said, has an emotional component to it, a reactivity to it. And being an observer, if it's just an observation, it's neutral. There's no emotional charge to it.
Yeah.
So if you're having something you have emotional charge with, what's in you that's doing that? Who inside of you is uncomfortable? Address the inner part, because the other person's just being themselves. If you're reacting to something, there's something in you you're reacting to. So it's just being more observant. Notice what you're noticing. Notice how you're feeling.
Yeah.
Notice what's coming. Are you reactive or responsive? Are you open? Are you curious about someone else's thoughts? And we can get back to that. Yes, it's okay to have different points of view. That's where we grow and learn. Maybe we'll learn something about somebody that we didn't know before if we keep our ears open and our eyes open with love.
Thank you. So what are some first steps to get back to that self-love, or shift that, or forgetting about everyone and everything? And there's interesting things being thrown around. Let's go to love, everybody, in the chat.
Take an inventory.
What does that mean?
Take an inventory.
What does that mean?
Start journaling. So start journaling. So we all have so much evidence in our lives, Michael, of magic that has happened, of miracles that have occurred, of dreams that have been fulfilled at some point in time. Even though we may look at our life right now and say, I'm not liking the way things are, I'm not trying to Pollyanna-ish this thing at all, but we have created evidence over the course of our lifetimes. And by taking inventory, what I mean is take a look at all the things that you have, all the blessings. Move into gratitude. A lot of times when we go into that place of feeling bad about ourselves, gratitude ain't happening at that place, right? And gratitude in and of itself will create more of that which you're grateful for in terms of how the manifestational process works as well. Now do an inventory. Look at and begin to ask yourself maybe some different or better questions as well. It does take some effort in order to, I love the concept. I read this in a Tim Ferriss book one time. The concept of being a firster.
Yeah.
Being a firster, right? You know what a firster is. Sheila's the best firster in the world. We could be in an elevator, and there isn't a single person that Sheila's ever rode an elevator with that doesn't feel better about themselves by virtue of what she had to say to them in that elevator, right? And we can do the same thing in our personal lives by being a firster. Reach out, make the first call. Go do whatever that first thing is to be in a place of where people are gathering to do the same thing you love to do, for instance, right?
Oh, I can't believe I'm going to say this. So I was having this conversation with Jessica earlier today. And she grew up, I hope it's okay to share this. I believe it's okay. She grew up in a home where it was important that she not speak. It was important that she be quiet. It was important that she kept her opinions to herself. And she brought that to her social life as well. She was the quiet. I think everybody looked at her actually really coolly and thought the mysterious one. But she was very, very quiet. And I said, did you break out of that when you were in the Peace Corps? And
Michael, we just lost your audio, bud.
am I there?
There you go.
There you are.
How much did you hear or not hear what I just said?
No more
Start
than 5
at the
seconds.
beginning.
Okay, my apologies. Let's go back to Jessica. Maybe I'm not supposed to share her story, but
Pay attention.
she grew.
You were at the Peace Corps. You were at the
Yeah,
Peace
you were
Oh,
at the
okay.
Peace Corps.
So you only lost
Yeah,
5
you're up to
seconds.
the Peace
Gotcha. When I met her a few years after the Peace Corps, she had just moved to Boulder, Colorado, and she went to this like solar festival and completely met with all these people and got the most amazing job that everybody in the industry would have wanted in Boulder, working for a geothermal company. And so I thought of her as this total outgoing go-getter. And yet she would say to this day, that's not her. And so I asked her on the drive today, how did you do it? Was it Peace Corps? Was it this? What changed you from being quiet, from being told your voice was supposed to be kept quiet? You're not supposed to speak growing up. How all of a sudden did you suddenly put yourself out there? And she said, I forced myself to.
She made a decision.
Yeah.
She just made a decision.
Yeah.
And decision doesn't always have to come with force. Decision can just be, I'm going to change. I'm going to make a decision. I'm going to plant my flag right now. I'm going to do and think and begin to believe something differently about myself. It sounds simple.
I totally get that too, Michael, because people don't know that about me, but I'm really shy. I'm great one-on-one, but in large groups, I'd rather stand in the corner and watch people. So I was invited to this really wonderful Christmas party one year. And I was to go alone, and there was going to be some really interesting people there. And I wanted to go, but then I was nervous about going and, having to go in, introduce myself, do all the things like you were saying, Jessica.
Yeah.
Be quiet, be quiet. And so, you know what I did? I have a very, very good friend, and some people know this story, but many don't. But she doesn't know a stranger, very interesting and curious conversationalist. She can walk up to people in a restaurant because they just look interesting and introduce herself and start talking. And I always thought, oh, if I could only be like her, I admired that so much. And so I thought, I'm going to the party and I'm going to be Terry. That was her name.
Yeah.
That is her name. I'm just going to be Terry. I'm going to act out the role and I'm going to be just like Terry. And to Jessica's point, I did that. I could act the role that I admired in Terry at this party. I had the best time ever. But until I made the decision, and you can say force myself, but I wanted to go so bad. I had the fear of missing out. So it forced me. And I just got there, and being somebody else for an evening was a gift I gave myself. And then, it became easier and easier and easier to
love that. Now, I want to get to a brief channeling with Theo in a little bit, and then to go to some people's questions. But my part of my team has challenged me as we're looking at branding and what's this show look like. We're 10 years young now. As we move forward, what's the new version of us look like? And we're going to do a photo shoot in a few weeks, and I get to pick out clothes for the photo shoot. I used to be in the fashion industry like 20 plus years ago. I'm really good at picking out clothes for Jessica. I'm really good at picking out clothes for Hannah Bear, but she can pick her own out now. For myself, no idea. But what's most interesting to me is, the expression, the clothes make the man or the clothes make the woman. Depending on your costume, on what you wear, you are completely different, which is what you're expressing. And we can all choose, because we're all actors and actresses in the play of this existence.
Exactly.
We can all choose a different costume. And you chose an amazing costume for the experience.
Yeah, and it was fun. It turned out to be really fun, and like you said, creative. But we can, to the point, Jessica changed. She made a decision to change in the moment.
Yeah.
And she said, yes, I can do this. And she took that little girl from her upbringing with her and said, we can do this together. And that's the integrated process. I said to my little shy girl, we can go to this party and we can play like we're Terry and we can have fun. And we did. But that was that little part of myself that I said, we'll do this together. My adult and my little person, hand in hand, supported each other to do that. And that's what Jessica did. We call it forcing ourselves, but making a decision to say, I know I can be different. I know I can expand. And that's where you start, really. You start saying yes to you.
This is how breakthroughs happen. This is what Sheila's giving you is a bit of a map for breakthroughs. And as Jessica, you got to make a decision for a breakthrough. But what happens when that decision, as you're beginning to make it, all of a sudden becomes fear and resistance, and you can't take action, right? Because inspiration and intuition and beliefs all contribute to the actual process of taking a step towards, after making a decision, taking the next step, which is an action step, right? So when the fear and resistance, and this is kind of the theme of what we've been talking about, Michael, with this integrative process, the soul integration process, when the fear and resistance comes up, we've got to look at it as the gift of knowing, the gift of knowledge, the gift of opportunity that it is. Because at that point, we can then begin to ask really good questions. What do I need at this moment right now? Is it right timing for me? Is time an issue? Are there other people involved that I need to be aware of? Is it something that requires more resources for me at this point? Or is it somebody else? Is somebody else there that needs to be assisting me with this? Or is it just simply an untrue belief about myself that I hold that has been stopping me from making this decision, not just now, but 100 other times before now? And that's when you get to the core of where the genesis of where that belief was first adopted, that everything can change, and it can change in an instant. It's pretty miraculous how it works, actually.
Thank you. And for those who are following, we'll talk a little bit more about it in a bit. You're going to be diving into this process, I'm assuming, more in this channeled event that we have together tomorrow night. Where the roles are going to be reversed, and there's going to be a lot of channeling with Theo. And then I want to go to Theo after this question. But is loneliness actually a sign of a deeper awakening? So for people right now who are experiencing so much loneliness here, are we the way showers or the wayfarers? Are we the most raw right now because we're experiencing a spiritual birth or spiritual rebirth rather than something being wrong with us, rather than being the outcast or the who knows what?
Yes, exactly that. It is a spiritual rebirth. It is being the way show, a new way of being, because the old ways don't work anymore. And that's what we're feeling. We can't go back to that old way because we know too much. We're learning too much. We're learning more about ourselves. And that's all third dimensional stuff anyway. It's been thousands of years worked with that now in the fifth dimension won't work. All of it, just seeing all those foundations and structures just dissolving as we try to lean on them. So to Marcus's point, the inner process is when we're uncomfortable, we can find out what part of ourself is uncomfortable. And the adult self, as I was talking about, isn't the uncomfortable one, it's the noticer of being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So the adult can say or look at, who is this inside of me that's uncomfortable? How old are they? And get that revelation of the moment when the belief became ingrained in us or adopted, and that's the moment it can be changed with love. The adult can love that little part of self forward to the present. To your point, loving little Michael or little Sheila and saying, we're going to do this together. Like I said about Jessica's little girl, hand in hand with her getting the job, my little Sheila, hand in hand, going to the wonderful party and being different, being willing to be different.
And out of the loneliness emerges way showers, Michael.
Yeah.
It's such a rich, and we have so much compassion for anybody who's feeling lonely, because we've all felt lonely. Oh my God, everybody has felt lonely. And now perhaps more than ever. And so it's important. I think having the perspective and looking at this as such a beautiful, a friend of ours calls it an unexpected opportunity now, because from this state of loneliness, in that compulsion that people begin to feel to just know themselves a little bit more, emerges way showers, emerges leaders, emerges these beautiful souls that are out there that are discovering. You talked about discovering purpose and passion earlier, that are discovering that not only are they lovable, but they got something to say, they got something to do, they got people to connect with, they got stories to tell, they've got impact to make. And I think that's what's coming out of the loneliness right now.
Can the loneliness somehow also bring us to discovering our soul family, our true family, rather than the family who may have helped us become lonely in the beginning?
100%. 100%. In fact, I think that's the greatest gift of all, is how soul family emerges. I'm really glad you brought that term up, because we use that word. Theo uses those words, rather, in terms of describing the gathering of souls. And many of us are discovering pre-incarnation agreements that were made as well, which you know quite a bit about, and how much fun that is when those connections get made,
So, Sheila, do you want to address for a minute soul family? Then we'll go to Theo.
Sure. Soul family, we hear a lot about soul mates and soul family and twin flames and all those kinds of things. And yes, they exist, but we romanticize them. But it's a vibrational energy thing, soul to soul. Soul family, those who are connected at that deep level, are on the same vibrational frequency. And it matters not where they live in the world. It's just that you're a match in your soul's journey on a vibration. And it's like speaking in the same language. and there's no judgment or separation. Soulmates are similar, but they're not the same frequency, but they're similar, and they can be our highest teachers.
How do we then call in our soul family? So we've got everybody here in the chat tonight. Guys, you're family. we are all family here tonight.
Yes.
How do we embody this or really start calling in our soul family when there's this epidemic of loneliness? We're not getting it from our family. We're maybe not meant to get it from our families. Our families don't get us. How do we call in our soul family?
Yeah, it's through intention.
Well, you're doing it.
Let me go back just for one quick second to the raising of your vibrational frequency. So I know you'd kill me if I didn't say this, Michael. All right. Tomorrow night.
Oh, wait. I can't you let you go there. I would never kill you no matter what.
Okay, good. You would disrespect, you think less of me. Anyways. But then again, I'm impervious to that, so it wouldn't matter anyway. But no. When your viewers register for tomorrow night, they're going to receive, whether they show up or not, they're going to get a replay if they can't make it live. But when they register, we have a gift for them of a guided meditation with Theo called Raising Your Vibrational Frequency. And it is that meditation amongst, I think, all the meditations we've done, that one has had one of the greatest impacts on the listeners of that meditation. And so I had to throw that in there but anyway, to your point, intention, it starts with intention. Yeah. In the answer to your question.
Well, and to your point too, Michael, your group is a soul family. I have no doubt about it, because everybody's looking for that kind of match where we could have these kinds of conversations. As you know, we have a global community as well, and they're finding each other through these outlets because they're in their own origin family or in their communities, they aren't able to share who they are. They can't share their vulnerable selves and what they believe in and what they think about. And then souls find each other. They really do find each other when it's time. And so many of our community, and probably yours as well, have found each other and have sustained really wonderful friendships without us. That they've connected in our programs, and they've connected online. And eventually they may be traveling somewhere, traveling with us, and they connect. And so this is a time of those kinds of connections happening. And like you said, you have a soul family here in your chat and the following, and they are with each other as well, because they've given themselves permission to ask their questions in the chat that they feel comfortable asking in this group of people, because they know they speak the same language. I'm not talking about the language we speak of origin, but we speak a spiritual language that connects us.
Thank you. So what I'd like to do, speaking of connection and soul family, is I'd love it, and then we'll go to a Q&A. If we can go to Theo for just a quick question or two, and tomorrow night there'll be a lot of channeling for Theo. It'll be more of a channeled event, and with the mic turned on me, from what I understand. But I'd love it if we could go to Theo for just a brief question or two, if we could do that.
Absolutely. I'll invite them in. It is the beginning, is it not?
Thank you.
1-6 questioning here.
Yes, just a quick question or two for tonight, Theo. The big question is, so many of us are feeling lonely or disconnected or afraid during this time, which I think is this feeling of separation. So where is humanity headed And are we moving toward a time of deeper connection or deeper separation?
The human species is heading towards the integrated species, meaning the relinquishment of belief systems that no longer serve, that have been passed along for thousands upon thousands of years. Now, with the broadening of the aperture of awareness of the worth of each individual, the magnificence of each and every one of you, not in a narcissistic or self-centered way, those are personality disorders, but in a very deep soul-centered way. That's where your species is headed on this planet. And that connectivity, that you are all one and you're better together than you are apart, you're more collaborative and creative. Yes, you compete in events, but you're not competitive in life. You are desirous of assisting each other with love. So in this time of fifth dimensionary energy, there is this transformation of consciousness never before experienced. It's a rewriting of the script of the way of being human and changing the thought processes within, changing your minds, laying new neural pathways.
Thank you. So I was talking about it earlier, and I don't want to make light of it. If we're feeling lonely, do we say, huzzah, this is it, I'm shifting, this is a rebirth, something special is coming out of this? Or what do we do with that feeling, that pain, or that hole in our heart? Or Marcus was talking about soul integration work, shamanic soul integration. Where do we find these pieces to put the hole in our heart back together?
So you find it by the adult self noticing where these beliefs began.
Yeah.
Who inside of you is feeling sad, lonely, and separate?
Yeah.
Who is that? The noticer, the adult, can begin communicating. This is part of the integrative process. In the discovery where one first felt abandoned, that's the question to be asked when one is looking in a inner dialogue. Where, how old was this part of self when they first felt abandoned? You can begin there.
Thank you. So to wrap up, question to you, and I know there'll be a lot more discussion tomorrow night. What is the one message with everybody that's gathered here? We talk about soul family gathered here. Everybody who's gathered here tonight is on some level feeling lonely. I think that's what brought us together, which is interesting. We're the opposite of lonely. We're the unlonely because we're together in our loneliness. I guess it's like walking through New York City in the past. What is the one message that, Theo, that you would want us to know tonight, or especially anyone who feels alone right now?
So as you know, there are those of you who could feel lonely, that loneliness in depth that you speak of, in a crowd, because there's a lack of connection on the inner to who you are. Again, notice what you're noticing. Ask who is lonely inside of you. Who is it? There's a part of you that is reactive in that loneliness in life. And the noticer is noticing that reactivity, whatever is being felt by it. Yes? So it's another inner dialogue, isn't it? Having that connection on the inner will give you the information and the love from the noticer, the adult self, to bring that part of self forward into the wholeness of being. The filling up of that emptiness can occur from the inner. For as you know, it cannot be filled from another or an outside source. It's an inside out work.
It's fascinating to me because the concept then of I want to meet somebody, I want to meet a soulmate, I want to meet a twin flame, I want to make friends. To no longer be lonely then is backwards.
It's not totally backwards because you're herd animals and being together is important and nurturing.
Yeah.
But having the expectation, the old paradigm of relationship, if I fix you, if I fill up the hole in you, you'll fill up my brokenness.
Mm-hmm.
And it's impossible. The only one that can fill that void, have the breakthrough, heal the broken heart, is from the inside of that knowing and the changing of the belief that is held there of unworthiness and not lovable. The new paradigm of relationship of which you're speaking about is preferential. In the past, it was needy because relationships had their roles. But each and every one of you is perfectly capable of sustaining your own life alone. You can provide for yourself, you can work, you can make money, you can put a roof over your head, men and women. So now the relationship experience is I prefer to be with you and to live life with joy and camaraderie, companionship. And that's where you're coming together on this different level, not needy, because you've completed, filled up the hole, but having that inner love makes the outer love greater still.
Thank you. And I love that term. I think you used it, preferential, meaning it is a choice. You're being empowered. You don't have to have this, but you can choose what you wish. I know we may talk about that more tomorrow night. Are there any last words that you want to share before I bring Sheila back for some questions from the audience?
Well, we would say to all of you, if you could see yourselves as we see you, there would be no discontent. You are magnificent beings having a human experience, each and every one important to the whole.
Thank you.
We are complete. God's love unto you. Good day.
Thank you.
Hi, Michael.
Hi, Sheila.
Hi, Marcus.
Hey, Sheila, welcome back.
Thank you. Hi, everybody.
Now, this is a lot of fun. So I'm going to dive, if it's okay with you, I want to dive into a few questions here. And then we'll begin to wind things up. I was going to say, as it's getting dark out here, I think it's been dark here the whole time. Bad joke. A question from Megan is, what's a good thing to say to someone in the moment then out of love? I send you love because you need it? Sounds funny, but I get taking the high road. So I guess they're saying if somebody says something that's offensive or somebody says something political that you don't agree with, what's a good thing? How do you respond out of love?
Well, first off, intention.
Mm-hmm.
What's the intention in the statement? Oftentimes we misconstrue people's intentions when they say something. And you could say, if it's somebody that said something that hurt your feelings, I know you didn't intend to do this, but my feelings were hurt when this happened. And so it shows I'm worthy of being treated better than this. People teach others to treat them the way they do.
Yeah.
By not saying anything. But it's not saying you made me feel. No, it's I felt. And you can even say, I know you probably didn't intend this, but I felt that. Could we have a do-over? Could we change those words or whatever it is? Marcus and I do that in our relationship all the time. If something comes out not quite like we meant it, wait a minute, can we have a do-over here? That didn't come out right. So we can do that with anybody and everybody if we wish to, and it changes. Just to the point you made earlier about the person you heard on the TV, the news or whatever it was, who said, "I'm sorry." Those words heal big wounds. Just those little words. And you know how you felt when you heard him say it. It was like authentic and wow, that vulnerability. So
and evaluate what was the intention? What was the intention?
Such a powerful word.
Was the intention to hurt my feelings? Well, if you intended to hurt my feelings, I don't want to hang out with you.
Yeah.
I mean, why would I want to be with somebody who wants to hurt me? But if it wasn't your intention to hurt me, now we have an opportunity to open up a conversation. It's just amazing how it works. And to Sheila's point, well, to your viewer's point, what does it mean to send love? What does it mean? What would love do? What would love do? Is the answer to that is to be compassionate, non-judgmental, and as Theo says, oftentimes to people in answer to this question, at some point you may realize you don't like that person. And you're not going to love that person, but you can love their soul.
It's such a wow. This is such a. It feels to me, and this is hard, particularly as we're talking about loneliness. It feels to me that it is still, or maybe it is the most important time that we actually cull the tree of our relationships, of the relationships that are not vibrating, neither good nor bad. They're not vibrating at the frequency that helps us bring up. Not as a I am a victim because of this, but understanding what are the relationships that serve me or the highest good right now versus what is just a Hoover vacuum of a relationship because I can't do that anymore. And that's self-love.
Well, it's how they feel.
It is self-love. Yeah.
Self-love, and it's how those relationships feel. And Theo calls it weeding of the garden. There's a necessary weeding of the garden that takes place as we outgrow relationships with one another.
Yeah.
It's not good or bad, right or wrong, better than, worse than, none of that at all. It's just different. And when that happens, we have an opportunity to make way for what is called higher vibratory or more resonant relationships.
Yeah.
Because now we've created a little more space in the garden for more fulfilling relationships.
And that goes perfectly to this next question that I have here. And this is a question from Mary Fryer, one of our longest times. We love you, Mary. We hope you're healing well. One of our longest time members and dear friends. Is it okay to shake the dust from your feet and walk away from someone saying something that is hurtful or don't agree with? What about self-love? Not to accept meanness. So to send love, but to walk away.
100%.
Yes, absolutely. And that's holding boundaries. To say, I deserve better. And that's loving yourself enough to say, no, this is unacceptable. And yes, you can walk away.
Can you tell me more about boundaries at this time? I have watched people lately blowing through the boundaries here, and in past years, maybe they would go past the boundary to here. Right now, it seems like people are completely blowing their boundaries out of the water and going way past the gray zone, way into the, I can't believe that person or myself or anybody else. It just seems like we've forgotten we get to have healthy boundaries.
Well, it goes back to what Marcus said originally. Are you doing things, accepting things to be loved or out of love? Are you doing obligations to be liked and loved? Or are you doing them because you're doing it out of love? It's not a judgment about you. It's just being aware of why you do what you do, and you allow what you allow. But when you find that self-love, you realize that you can hold boundaries with people who, if they treat you badly, you can say that's unacceptable.
Yeah. So
and hold it to your soul family member that said, can you walk away? Of course you can, and just say, this kind of behavior is unacceptable, and I will
There's a
not
test.
accept it.
There's a test that's taking place in this scenario, Michael's Mary's question. How aligned are we core values wise? At the end of the day, how aligned are we core values wise? And what this time, one of the gifts of this time is the emergence of clarity with regards to whether my core values align with your core values. And if they don't, and this is particularly true for those seeking, well, not, I mean, it's true in any relationship, but it certainly is relative to people that are looking for a life partner too. If you're looking for a romantic relationship, core values matchup is huge.
I just had this discussion with a client last night about leaving a job that on the surface, even though the money is great, seems great for that alone, I guess. But the core values are completely and totally out of alignment.
No.
So
You can't stay there.
Yes.
You can't stay there. You can't stay in that energy. It's just a frequency mismatch is all it is. And it's agitating and you feel it. You ever want to get clear about what's the right or wrong way to go? Just feel into it. You already know the answer to it too.
Well, an example of that is I knew a gentleman, and he was so misaligned in his job that in the morning he would throw up before he had to go to work. I mean, it was literally making him ill.
Wow.
To have to go spend his day like that. I mean, and that was extreme. But we hear about people all the time that become ill because of the environment they're in, because it's a mismatch energetically. But there is a match out there. I mean, Theo often tells people that are looking for a job, don't look. Create the job you want. What would you love to do? Where are the attributes, and how would you like to share your creative knowledge and all the knowledge you have? What kind of job would you get up in the morning and be enthusiastic when you awaken that you get to do that today? And, if you think about that,
Yeah.
there are all kinds of jobs out there for people, and they'll excel at them if they think about, this is where I would be best using all my talent. And when they get in those jobs, they do excel. And then when they're interviewing for them, Theo says, interview them to see if it's a fit for you.
Thank you. That's see, that's the flip on its head when clients used to come to me when I used to do a lot of coaching, and they'd say, I'm looking for the soulmate, or I'm looking for the partner, and I would tell them, stop.
Yeah. Stop looking.
It's let's crank your energy up to the max. Let's get where you want to vibrate, and then you attract them to you. But if not, it's an energetic mismatch because you want somebody vibrating at a high level, but we get you there. And it's not a chicken and the egg or chasing your tail. You can do that inner work. You can bring that energy up. And then it's a natural outcome. As Jessica would say, I had it was just barely at a high enough level to attract her into my life. And I would agree with that. I've grown into that, let us say.
Well, she saw potential in you. She saw
I think she ran first, actually. Then she saw potential.
Well, we all have potential. We all have potential.
Everybody, yeah. There's a very effective exercise, whether you're seeking a romantic partner, or not, and that is to simply make a list of everything you desire in that person.
Yeah.
And maybe it's even friends.
I have done
And
this.
just make a list of every single trait that you ever would love to manifest in another, and then just go through and check off all the ones that you already are. And those that you're
Ooh.
not,
Yep.
those that you're not, that's where you start. Become that which you are desiring to manifest in a relationship.
Thank you. I'm gonna switch gears here for a few more questions in the time we have remaining. I have a very, very heavy, strong, powerful question from @metagod. God. My mom tells me to kill myself, and my dad left and doesn't talk to me anymore. I'm a single dad, and life is rough. I'm alone by myself every day except when my son visits. Any advice?
Mm. All right, so I'll go. I'll take.
You go
That's a
first.
really, 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 really good and hard question, and it's a hard question to ask. By the way, it's a hard question to share that's where your life is right now, and it's actually a great conversation that we could ask THEO tomorrow night as well, because they have some interesting insights as to how you can turn those moments of awareness that he's having right now into gold nuggets of growth and expansion and awareness and revelation.
Yeah.
It's simple to say, and by the way, let's acknowledge too, Michael, some of the stuff that we've been talking about is a lot easier said than done.
Heck yeah.
And we realize that, and this answer might fall into that category right now. First of all, delete your family, delete your mother, delete your father. They don't matter anymore. I mean, spending your life trying to gain their love and approval and acceptance and compassion would be an utter waste of time. So, I mean, number one.
Yeah.
Now, again, I'm sure there's a lot of conditions and circumstances that might even make that challenging, but eliminate people like that from your life. And you have an opportunity to start your life new when you get those influences completely out of your life. So if someone's telling you to go kill themselves, don't talk to them anymore.
Thank you.
They're done. If you have a father who doesn't want to be in touch with you, don't get him to, don't try. Be done with that relationship as well. And by the way, we also, having said this, we know people want to, we crave the love of our parents. So that's another thing, right? And then the last thing I would say to this gentleman is simply to take a little bit of a look at some of the things that THEO even just said just a little bit ago about asking who there's an opportunity here. Let me just kind of summarize this in this. There's an opportunity right now for him to start to really get to know who he really is, how lovable he is, how awesome he is, and certainly how awesome he can be. And it's time to just like wipe the slate clean in his life and the people in it that aren't supporting him in his new intention to become more whole, to become more of who he is, and become a better father to that boy, and to be a better partner to whoever it is that comes in ultimately to be with him, and a better friend as he's manifesting that part of his life as well. Sheila?
The integrative process would be really helpful to do the things that Marcus is talking about. And to start first, the fear of abandonment is great. And he has a lot of abandonment in his life. So who inside of him, how old was he when he first felt abandoned? He can begin knowing what he knows about being a father. He can be the best father for those little aspects of himself with love. What do they need from him? He can say, I'm your future self. I love you. And I want you to come with me into the new life we're creating now. And so it's being a father to those little parts of himself that was abandoned time and time again, it sounds like, from his comment. And to recognize he can give those parts of himself that love just as he gives his son the love. And in that process, then he can become whole and draw to him, like Marcus said, a relationship with love that's different than he's ever experienced before. And he can hold the boundaries that Marcus was talking about out of self-love.
And one last thing,
okay.
and that is to find and nurture everything in your life that brings you joy. Everything that brings you joy, and set down a path, an intentional path of only doing that which brings you joy. And everything can begin to shift in that respect as well.
One of the not cool. There's an insight here that to me is very exciting. And the insight is this, and it's very interesting because clearly he has a very wounded mom who would say that to him, and so we can appreciate that and get that kind of dodge. Conversely, his son is his everything, and if he really gets that, then he gets that his son is watching him, and his son is learning from him. And he is the son to his son. He is the everything. Mm-hmm. And if he can embody that, he can recognize, I get to really start loving myself as my son, as I love my son. And as I start to love myself more, even if I don't want to, my son is going to be better for it. And he might be able to come to a place of geeking out with himself for his son's benefit. We often don't take action for ourselves. We take action for that son or daughter or someone else in our lives. In fact, we get to do a better job with ourselves. But this gives him the ticket, the carte blanche, the doctor's note to take even better care of himself, which is taking better care of his son.
Yes.
Absolutely. Well said.
Yeah.
So just a couple last questions, and I'm not even sure I'm trying to decipher this next question from Lisa Mackel. It'll make more sense to both of you. I was saying I do. I miss my family. Been hurt deeply. Still love. How do you start?
Reach out. Communicate. Be vulnerable. Show love. It requires a conversation. It requires
the greatest
vulnerability.
thing we have is being able to have a conversation.
Yeah.
Of course, it takes the other person to be accepting to have a conversation, but communication is what begins reconciliation.
Thank you. And then the last...
Become a very... I was just going to say, add one more thing. Just become a very, very active listener. Learn listening skills. And that's learned too. Most of us are not always good listeners. Right? We're thinking of the next thing we're going to say, and we don't hear everything coming in to us, right? And I think just learning how to listen can really help her a lot.
Thank you. And then the last question for tonight, and then this can be a to be continued with a channeling from Ask Theo tomorrow night. I know the mic's going to be flipped around a little bit, but from Bernadette, and it's a question that so many have. Why does Theo say it is the beginning, is it not?
They've always said that from the beginning. But when they came in and said, we are 12 archangels, a collective of 12 archangels, and we will be known by the name THEO, they told me to look up THEO in the dictionary.
Yeah.
Which I did. And the dictionary says the beginning or God. So for 5 years, I kept thinking, like this questioner asked, why don't they just come in and say, hi, this is THEO or whatever? But they've always said, this is the beginning, is it not? That's the dictionary definition of THEO.
When you're channeling, when you hear that, and I'm curious if you're hearing that in the same room or if you're like 100 rooms back, what's the energy inside of you from that expression?
Beginning?
It is the beginning,
when
is it not? That? When they say that, what's the energy? How do you feel in that moment?
Oh, there's a rush of energy that goes through my body.
I was wondering.
I could say it was electrical, but yeah, as they take over and speak, because they have a much different tone and cadence and vocabulary, but it feels really great. Now, I've been doing this 5 decades, so I've become very comfortable with allowing them to come in, but it's a joy. And I always ask them to balance my energy when they come in. So if I'm having a bad day, when I'm done working with THEO, I feel great because they've balanced all that stuff out in me.
Yep.
So I suggest when you're working with your guides and your mentors, always ask them to balance out your energy. It really helps.
Love it. And when I'm done, even in an event, especially an event like this, there's the me on the mic, and then there's the me that's having that energy flow through me, and afterwards it's a cloud nine experience. So
it is
lovely. And maybe I'll go to you, Marcus. I'll go to either of you. What exactly is tomorrow's event? How do you sign up? I know we've had the link here in the chat. Why do people want to go? Because we've already been talking about this tonight. What are we going to get out of this?
Well, we're going to take a deeper dive, much deeper dive into the topic of relationships and loneliness tomorrow night, Michael. And we're happy and honored and delighted to have you as our guest tomorrow night, and your community as our guests. This is a co-created event with the 3 of us and the 15 of us, if you want to include THEO in it. And we're going to go and explore. We have an art of relationship, Discover the Magic of Unconditional Love. It's a new book and a program that we have. We're going to take little bits and pieces of that as well to share. But the focus is going to be on lengthening the conversation, extending the conversation that we began here tonight. But we're going to move it beyond the topic of loneliness. We're going to focus in on many aspects of relationships tomorrow evening, and we're going to be taking a lot of questions from the audience for THEO on the topic of relationships. So we would invite everybody tonight to think, just kind of jot down any questions or anything, any area of discontent or longing or desire that you have in your life around the topic of relationships. Write it down before tomorrow night. And then you will have an opportunity to put your question in. I'll be taking the questions. You'll be looking at them with me as well. We'll be kind of communicating back and forth about some of the coolest, the most, I think, compelling questions that will have the greatest information for everybody. And then we are going to bring some people in live as well. So we create Ask THEO Lives are always very interactive. So some of you will have the opportunity to actually come in and talk to THEO live tomorrow night with your relationship question. And the last thing I'll say about it, Michael, is we're going to have a lot of fun because we are delighted to have you as our guest tomorrow night and your community as our guest audience tomorrow night exclusively. So it's an exclusive event, and we're really
This is going to be fun to flip the roles. This will be fun to talk to you, Michael, and interview you. So I'm looking forward to it.
I appreciate that, and I like very much. I don't avail myself of that opportunity enough. I like the opportunity to not run the mic, not run the camera, and let the words just flow through me.
We're going to make sure you have as much fun as you possibly can with us tomorrow night, and everybody that comes, all your entire community as well. We're really looking forward to having everybody with us.
I look forward to it. And so for everybody, before I let you go, the link's coming up a dozen times in the chat. We'll put the link. We'll put it as a pinned comment here. We'll put it in the description as well. Come join us tomorrow night. And to me, it's first off, I'm always enthralled and listening to what THEO has to say. And as weird as it says, God, this is going to sound so weird. I'm enthralled to hear what comes through me, not from me, when I'm interviewed. Because it's not always what I expect, and it's not always what I would say. So Jessica is always asking, this will be an interesting one because we got relationships. She's always asking me afterwards, what did you learn? What did you say?
Yeah. We're going to talk a little bit about, we're going to find out a little bit about what you've learned about relationships tomorrow night. That's for sure. And then we will spend most of the time though talking with THEO, and as we always most of the time as we do in our Ask THEO live events, and we'll have a nice little party tomorrow night.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So thank you both so much for being here tonight. I want to say to everyone, thank you for being here. And I want everybody to know not only are you loved, and you are loved, you are loved, you are loved. You are not alone. You never were alone. You could not be alone, no matter how much you try. So stop trying. Stop trying and allow the love that is you, that is of you, that is all around you to absolutely chase you down. So for everyone out there, this is Michael Sandler saying, be well, have fun, feel the love. You have found community. You have found Ohana. You have found your tribe here and with Sheila and Marcus. And now I will throw it out to some beautiful ending music from my dear sister, quite literally, part of my soul family and literal family, Ayla Ray. So lots of love until tomorrow night.
Every day there's a new horizon. Birds keep on singing, earth keeps on spinning. Time to toss any fears that rule you. Dance to vibrations, no limitations. Shine, hold the sunlight on your chest and fly. Look to the sky, let your spirit shine brightly, shine brightly. Oh, shine. Share the magic deep in your soul. Feel glitter around you. Live your greatest truth. Catch those dreams, swimming beside you. Yours for the taking. No more just waiting.